My name is Maya. I'm 24, and up until recently, I lived with my parents and younger brother in a small house just outside Denver. It wasn't glamorous, but it was familiar. I had a decent job at an insurance company. The pay wasn't stellar, but it was enough. Enough to keep the lights on, the water running, the internet connected. Basically, enough to cover most of the household essentials my parents couldn't manage anymore. Honestly, if I hadn't been footing those bills, the heater would have died for good last winter. I stayed because they needed me, not the other way around. That Christmas Eve, though, everything changed. I walked in after my shift, the smell of cheap coffee still clinging to my coat, to find the usual scene. A sparsely decorated tree, my mom Linda setting out ham, and my dad David already nursing a drink, lost in thought. Dinner was quiet, heavy with unspoken things, until Dad shattered the silence. He slammed his knife down, locked eyes with me, and said words I never thought I'd hear. Maya, you're a burden. You can't live here anymore. If you've ever felt unappreciated or taken for granted, maybe this story will resonate with you. Stick around and hit that subscribe button for life stories to hear how it unfolds. The air froze. My mom, Linda, gave this tight, panicked laugh, like she was praying it was some twisted holiday joke. But Dad's eyes, they were dead serious. My brother Noah, just 17, froze with his fork halfway to his mouth, staring like he'd seen a ghost. "What did you just say?" I managed, my voice barely a whisper. "You heard me, Dad," David repeated, his voice low, final. "You've overstayed your welcome. This is my house. Time for you to get out." My mind raced. Get out? I wasn't staying because I was desperate. I could afford my own apartment. I'd priced them out dozens of times. I stayed because Dad lost his job 3 years ago, because Mom only worked part-time at the school library, because they couldn't make ends meet without my paycheck covering the gaps. And here they were, on Christmas Eve, painting me as some freeloader leeching off them. Mom started to say something, maybe defend me, maybe just smooth things over. But Dad cut her off with a sharp wave of his hand. "My decision is made, Linda." Noah looked back and forth between them, his young face confused and hurt. "If you can just kick her out, who's next?" His voice cracked on the last word. That broke something in me. I took a deep breath. No shouting, no tears. If they wanted me gone, fine, I'd go. But they were about to learn the true cost of losing their burden. I leaned back, meeting Dad's cold stare. "All right." A tiny, smug smirk touched his lips, like he'd won. Mom just stared at her plate, silent. Maybe shocked, maybe just resigned. I stood up, carried my barely touched dinner to the sink, and walked out of the kitchen, giving Noah a small, almost imperceptible nod on my way. He was the only reason I'd put up with it for so long. Upstairs, behind my closed door, the packing began. Suitcase dragged from under the bed, closet emptied methodically. Each shirt, each book, bought with my own money, folded away. This room, once my sanctuary, now felt like a cage I was finally escaping. A soft knock. "Maya?" Noah's whisper. I opened the door. He looked small, lost. "Are you really leaving?" His eyes were red-rimmed, but he wouldn't cry, not in front of me. "They want me to," I said simply. "No reason to stay now." He sank onto the bed. "But the bill, electricity, internet, they can't afford it, Maya." He knew. That's what terrified him. I wasn't just his sister. I was the financial plug holding the leaky ship together. "I know, Noah," I said softly, sitting beside him. "But I can't spend my whole life being their walking wallet. I deserve a life too." Silence stretched, then quieter than before. "I want to go with you." My heart ached. "You can't," I said gently. "You're still in school, still a minor. They wouldn't let you." "Then where will you go?" he pressed, needing a plan, a safety net. "I'll crash at Isabel's place for a bit," I reassured him, mentioning my work friend. "I've got savings, enough for a small apartment deposit. I always had a backup plan, Noah. Just didn't think I'd need it tonight. He clenched his fists. They don't deserve you. Doesn't matter anymore, I said, putting a hand on his shoulder. What matters is you focus on school. Get through this. Once you're 18, I promise, I'll help you get out too. He nodded slowly. Text me? Every day? Every single day, I promised. He left, glancing back one last time, the understanding dawning in his eyes. He was now alone with people who'd forgotten how to be parents. I finished packing, suitcase ready by the door. Nearly midnight. The house was eerily silent. Before I walked out that door for what felt like the last time, I sat on the edge of my bed in the silent house and pulled out my phone. It didn't take long. Log in, navigate, click. Electricity account, remove payment method. Internet, remove payment method. Water, gas, same thing. Even the secondary credit card I'd gotten for Mom, Linda, supposedly for emergencies, but mostly used for online shopping sprees, account closed. 10 minutes, maybe less. No drama, no shouting match, just quiet clicks severing the financial ties they'd taken for granted. For 3 years, my presence, my paycheck, had been the unspoken warning. They never listened. Now they'd learn through absence. As I wheeled my suitcase down the creaky stairs, the living room light spilled from under the door. I could hear the faint sound of the TV, some Christmas special probably. No one came out. No, wait, Maya. No apologies. Nothing. Just the muffled sounds of a family pretending everything was normal after shattering mine. I opened the front door, didn't look back. The freezing Denver night air hit me like a physical blow, but I didn't feel cold. I felt awake, free. Loading the suitcase into my old car, sliding behind the wheel, my hands gripped the worn leather. This was it. My life, my decisions, starting now. I drove away from that street, from the house that had become a prison of obligation and resentment, the weight lifting with every mile. I ended up at my colleague Isabel's apartment around midnight. She took one look at me, standing there with my suitcase and the haunted look in my eyes, and just pulled me into a hug. No questions asked, just, stay as long as you need. The next morning, sunlight streamed into Isabel's spare room. I sat at her small kitchen table, opened my laptop, and began the final stage of my silent retreat. Utility payment portals. My name, still listed. Click, remove. Pop-up. Are you sure? Bills will no longer be automatically paid. Confirm. Internet, water, gas. Even Mom's beloved Amazon Prime for her nightly movie binges. Credit card info scrubbed from every system. For them, my support wasn't a gift. It was an entitlement. Now, the entitlement was over. I leaned back, exhaling. Not with satisfaction, but with relief. For the first time in years, I'd done something solely for myself. No more juggling their expenses. No more quiet resentment simmering beneath the surface. The next few days were strangely peaceful. Work, dinner with Isabel, reading before bed. Simple. Normal. Warm. No shouting, no demands, no walking on eggshells. But peace, I was learning, could be fragile. Wednesday afternoon, my phone started vibrating nonstop in my pocket at work. 5 missed calls from Mom, 2 from Dad, then a text from my brother, Noah. Power's out. Dad's yelling. I stared at the screen, my heart a heavy stone. I didn't reply. I had cared too much for too long. An hour later, another text, this time from Mom. Maya, what's going on? Internet is down. TV won't work. Your father is furious. What did you do? The blame, instant and expected. I felt no guilt. They wanted me out? Fine. But the free ride was over. That evening, making pasta with Isabel, the phone rang again. Caller ID Mom. I almost ignored it, but something made me answer. Maya? Her voice trembled, laced with panic. The power! The bills aren't paid. We can't even watch Netflix. What is happening? I kept my voice calm, level. Mom, Who do you think has been paying for all of that for the past 3 years? Silence. Then a small, guilty whisper. You! But your father thought— Exactly! I cut her off, the dam of patience finally breaking. You listened to Dad. You both made your choice on Christmas Eve. Now, you get to live with it. I hung up. A part of me thought that would be the end of it. They'd figure it out, adjust. But I had severely underestimated my father's pride and his deep-seated reliance on me. The real storm was just beginning. The quiet didn't last. The very next day, an email alert popped up from my bank. Suspicious login attempt from an unfamiliar device. My blood ran cold. I checked immediately. 3 failed attempts, followed by a password reset request sent to my email. Only one person would be that desperate, that brazen. Dad? David! My hand shook as I called my brother Noah. Maya, he answered, his voice hushed, tense. I think Dad's trying to get into your bank account. I saw him with Mom's old notebook, you know, the one where she writes down passwords. Of course. They probably had my old, simple passwords jotted down somewhere. Thanks, Noah. Stay safe. I'll handle it. I hung up and immediately got to work. Every single online account, bank, email, credit cards, streaming services, even the pizza delivery app, password changed. Complex, random characters, numbers, symbols. Then, I enabled 2-factor authentication everywhere I possibly could. A text code sent to my new phone number for every login. Layer upon layer of digital defense. A silent, clear message. Access denied. You don't control me anymore. I hoped that would be the end of it. That maybe, just maybe, facing the reality of managing their own finances would force them to grow up. I was wrong. My family didn't know how to function without a scapegoat. And with me gone, their dysfunction imploded. 3 days later, another text from Noah during my workday. Internet got shut off this morning. Mom cooked on the camp stove last night. Microwave's dead. Dad punched the fuse box. Punched the fuse box. Classic David. My chest tightened, but I didn't reply. Just put the phone down, took a breath. The ship was sinking, and I wasn't diving back in to save them. That evening, leaving the office, my phone rang relentlessly. 6 missed calls from Mom. On the 7th, I picked up, bracing myself. Maya, what have you done? Her voice was a raw shriek, laced with tears and fury. The house is dark. No TV, no hot water. Your father is losing his mind. What did you do? I kept my cool, my voice steady despite the adrenaline. Mom, I didn't do anything except stop paying for things. Things I used, yes, but things you all benefited from, things you demanded I cover. You wanted me gone, remember? I'm just taking care of myself now, like you told me to. You can't do this, she screamed. This is your home. The word felt like ash in my mouth. No, Mom. It's the place Dad kicked me out of on Christmas. Remember? I'm just following his orders. A choked silence on the line. Just heavy, ragged breathing. Finally, a whisper, thick with resentment. Your father, he thinks you're doing this for revenge. A dry, humorless laugh escaped me. Revenge? No, Mom, I'm just living. The problem isn't what I'm doing. The problem is that I'm no longer living my life for you. I hung up before she could argue, before the guilt she was trying to sling could find its mark. No more explanations. They were used to my silence meaning compliance. Now it meant absence. Predictably, the next morning brought another bank alert. Suspicious login attempt, possible fraud, blocked, Dad again. Persistent, wasn't he? I called Noah immediately. He sounded scared. Maya, he's been at Mom's old notebooks again all morning, yelling about needing to get back what belongs to the family. My stomach churned. Did you see him on the computer? Yeah, trying to log in over and over, cursing when it fails. A bitter chuckle escaped me. Good. The security's working. Noah hesitated, then his voice dropped lower. Maya, he's starting to say weird things, scary things, like, that girl thinks she's won, I'll make her regret abandoning her family. I'm kinda scared, Maya. My grip tightened on the phone. Okay, listen. If anything feels off, anything at all, lock your door, call me instantly. Got it? Got it, phone's with me. I hung up, logged back into my bank, cranked the security settings to maximum, blocked logins from any unrecognized device, and changed the password again. 16 characters this time, a nightmare mix of symbols linked to fingerprint ID. No more back doors, no more loopholes. That night, sleep wouldn't come. A heavy unease settled in my chest, a premonition that this was far from over. He wouldn't just give up. He needed to feel like he'd won, and I knew, with chilling certainty, I was right. The next morning, the inevitable happened. I'd just stepped out of the shower, towel wrapped around me, when my friend Isabel called out from the living room, her voice tight with alarm. Maya! Someone's banging on the front door really hard! I rushed out, hair dripping, heart pounding. Isabel looked terrified. Who is it? I don't know, she whispered, but they sound furious. I crept to the peephole, my stomach plummeting. It was him, my father, David. Standing there in the hallway, face red, eyes bloodshot, hammering on Isabel's door with both fists, his voice echoing down the corridor. Maya, open this door! You think you can just walk away? Isabel looked at me, wide-eyed. Should I call the police? I nodded, already fumbling for my phone, dialing 911 with trembling fingers. As the operator answered, I stared at the furious shadow pounding on the other side of the thin wood. You kicked me out of your house, I thought bitterly. You don't get to force your way into my life now. Yes, I spoke into the phone, keeping my voice as steady as I could. He's my father, but he's threatening me. He's trying to break into my friend's apartment. The dispatcher was calm, professional. Okay, officers are on their way. Stay inside. Do not open the door. ETA is 3 minutes. I hung up, leaning my forehead against the cool wood, my heart hammering against my ribs. Dad kept slamming the door, shouting accusations. Ungrateful! After everything I did for you! You think leaving solves anything? Isabel stood behind me, clutching her keys, frozen. This is insane, she breathed. I know, I whispered back, taking a deep breath. But he needs to understand. He has no power over me anymore. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. Red and blue lights flashed through the stairwell windows. Heavy footsteps pounded up the stairs. A firm knock. Police! Open up! Stay calm. I unlocked the door and stepped back as 2 uniformed officers entered, immediately addressing my father. Sir, you need to calm down. You're disturbing the peace. We need you to leave the premises immediately. Dad whirled on them, face contorted. She's my daughter. I have a right to talk to her. One officer kept his voice even. Not like this, sir. Your daughter felt threatened enough to call us. If you don't leave now, we'll have to take further action. I'm not going anywhere, he roared, suddenly lunging towards me, as if he could physically force me to listen, to submit. I flinched back instinctively, my hands clenched. The officers reacted instantly, blocking his path, grabbing his arms. Sir, maintain your distance. She owes me, he screamed, struggling against their grip, his voice thick with rage. She can't treat me like this. I'm her father. I have rights. That phrase, I have rights, it echoed all the abuse, all the control, all the years he'd used it as a weapon. But I wasn't that scared teenager anymore. I met his furious gaze, my voice clear and cold. I owe you nothing. You chose this. You kicked me out. You pushed me away. Live with your choice. The officers firmly turned him around. The sharp click of handcuffs echoed in the hallway. As they fastened, I saw the look in his eyes change. Not anger anymore, but the dawning shock of a man realizing his control was utterly broken. Maya! He hissed my name like a curse. You will regret this. You'll pay for betraying your family. I didn't respond. Just watched them lead him away, his furious shouts fading down the stairs. When the hallway was finally quiet, Isabel touched my arm. "Are you okay?" I nodded, swallowing hard. "Yeah, just didn't think it would actually come to this." "You did what you had to," she said gently. "Sometimes breaking free hurts." My phone buzzed. A text from Noah. "Dad got arrested." I replied quickly, "Yes. Don't worry, stay put. Call if anything happens." I sank onto Isabel's couch, hands still shaking. But the nightmare wasn't over. 3 days later, another text from Noah. "Sis, your car is outside our house." My blood froze. "Noah, are you sure? My car's parked right here at Isabel's." "I know. But it's here. Window down a bit. Mom's coffee bag inside. You need to see this. My car keys were with me." "The spare?" I called Isabel, still in the drawer at her place, untouched. Which meant they had a copy I never knew about. My mother, Linda, the quiet one, the victim, had stolen my car. Without another word, I borrowed Isabel's car and drove back to that cursed neighborhood. There it was, my blue sedan, parked innocently. But inside, through the fasty window, a water bottle not mine, unfamiliar shoes, a grocery receipt dated 2 days ago, Mom's name on it. I called Noah. "Are you home?" "Yeah, Mom just got back." "Okay, I'm coming in. Stay upstairs." I rang the bell. Mom opened the door, clutching her purse. "Maya, why are you here?" I met her gaze. "You took my car, Mom." She scoffed. "It was just sitting there. I borrowed it." "Borrowed? For a week? And whose money paid for the gas? Why does the seat look like someone's been sleeping in it?" I stepped inside, noticing something else. My old laptop, gone from the bookshelf. "Where's my laptop?" She froze. "I sold it." No apology. "For money?" I asked, knowing the answer. "I needed medicine for your father. This house needs things. Anything you left behind is just left behind," she finished lamely. I pulled out my phone. "Then you deal with the consequences. I'm calling the police." "You can't. I'm your mother." Her voice cracked with panic. "And you're a thief," I said calmly. "You stole my car. You sold my property. I forgave Dad's outburst. But this? This is the end." I dialed 911 again. When the police arrived, I laid it all out. The receipt, the GPS logs I pulled showing the car's movements, the missing laptop. I wanted my property back, and I wanted to press charges. Mom crumbled, unable to provide proof of ownership. An officer turned to me. "We'll instruct her to return what remains. You can file a formal report." Mom stared at me, pale, shaking. "Maya, what are you doing to your mother?" she whispered. I looked back at her, my voice soft but firm. "I'm doing what you should have taught me, Mom. Protecting what's mine." I turned and walked away. 3 days after the police visit about the car and the laptop, my phone vibrated with a message from an unknown number. Just 6 words. "You think you've won?" Regret betraying family. No signature needed. My blood ran cold. Dad? David? I immediately checked the county jail's public portal online. There it was in stark red letters. Released on bail. Release date, this morning. He'd been out less than 12 hours. I texted Noah instantly. "Dad's out. Who posted bail?" His call came minutes later, his voice barely a whisper. It was Uncle Mike, Dad's old drinking buddy. Dad was calling everyone for money yesterday. Mike showed up this morning, gave Mom an envelope. Mike, the guy whose parties used to bring cops to the neighborhood. If he bailed Dad out, this wasn't just help. It was an alliance. Something uglier brewing. "Maya," Noah continued, his voice tight with fear. "Last night, Dad said he's going to make you feel what it's like to be pushed out. I think he's planning something." I bolted from Isabel's living room. My face must have shown my terror because she immediately asked what was wrong. "My dad made bail. He just sent me a threat." Isabel's expression hardened instantly. "Maya, you can't stay here. If he knows this address, you think he'll come back? I asked, already knowing. Someone like him? Isabel said grimly. He got arrested storming this place once. Now he feels he has nothing left to lose. You have to leave, tonight. She was right. The fragile peace I'd found here was over. Running wasn't weakness. It was survival. Okay, I nodded, my mind racing. Give me a few hours. I called another coworker, Rachel, who'd previously offered help. She didn't hesitate. Come anytime? Spare room's ready. I packed again, faster this time. Clothes, laptop, documents, essentials only. As night fell, Isabel helped load my car. I'll call the cops if I see anything, she promised. You take care of yourself. Driving towards Rachel's, another text from the same number. Run, but can't hide forever. Family is forever, Maya. Didn't reply, just screenshotted it, sent it straight to the police detective handling my previous reports, adding a clear message. I am being threatened by the man arrested for harassing me. I no longer feel safe. He wanted a fight? Fine. But I wasn't the same scared girl anymore. This target fights back. That weekend, I arranged a civil standby, a police escort, to retrieve the last of my belongings from that house near Denver. Noah met me on the porch, looking drained, holding a small backpack. You sure about this? He asked quietly. I nodded, then addressed the officer. Just getting my things. If they interfere, please step in. Mom sat on the sofa inside, clutching her purse. Dad stood silently in the kitchen doorway, radiating cold fury. I ignored them, went straight upstairs. My old room was ransacked. My remaining things, books, photos, keepsakes, shoved into trash bags on the floor. Remnants of a life already shed. I packed them quickly, mechanically. Coming downstairs, Mom stood up. Not even a word? You just leave? I paused at the door. I said plenty before. You never listened. It was your father's fault, she cried. I finally turned, meeting her eyes. You were silent when he humiliated me, silent when he kicked me out. You stole from me, and you think I owe you a goodbye? She looked away. Dad stepped forward, spitting anger. Cutting ties? Tarnishing the family name, a cold laugh escaped me. No, just living what this family taught me. If you're not respected, leave. I pulled out a folded paper, a copy of the restraining order petition I'd prepared. Another threat, another visit, another attempt to access my accounts, and this gets filed. Immediately. And it won't just be a polite police visit next time. The officer beside me nodded. Noted. Further harassment will be handled seriously. I turned to Noah. Hold on a few more months. If it gets bad, call me. I meant it. He nodded, understanding passing between us. I walked out of that house for the final time, no backward glances. That day, I changed my number, closed every account linked to that address, and started fresh, officially moving in with Rachel until I found my own place, a small, bright, safe apartment near work. I cut them off completely. Silence. Blessed silence. The next few years were about rebuilding. New bank, new laptop, new routines, painting walls, hanging pictures, reclaiming my life, piece by piece. 2 years passed, peaceful years, but I never forgot Noah. He endured, quietly finishing high school in that cold house, waiting for his chance, just like he said he would. On his 18th birthday, no party, just a text. Sis, I'm ready. I picked him up the next morning. His backpack held little more than clothes and a photo of us. No one saw him off. We drove away from the silent house, heading towards his future at community college. We had dinner at a cheap noodle place, smiling, finally free. Think they'll try to find you? I asked. Probably, he said calmly. But I'll do what you did. Cut them off. No power over me anymore. I squeezed his hand, so proud it hurt. We stayed close, his calls filled with normal teenage stuff. Grades, roommates, coffee-obsessed professors. His voice grew lighter each time. As for Mom and Dad, without their scapegoat and provider, their lives crumbled. Dad couldn't keep a job. Mom's part-time pay wasn't enough. They were evicted. Last I heard, they were in a rough part of town, living in squalor. A bitter letter arrived indirectly once, full of blame and pleas. I never responded. There was nothing left to say. One autumn day, Noah and I sat by the river, watching the sunset. "You know," he said softly, "I'm grateful for you. Without you, I wouldn't have known a different life was possible." I squeezed his hand back. "We don't need their definition of family, Noah. We just need each other. Our story isn't just about leaving. It's about choosing yourself, rewriting your own narrative, even when it means walking away from blood ties. Happiness isn't found in enduring pain. It's found in the courage to demand better, even if you start with nothing but hope." What do you think of Maya and Noah's choices? Was cutting off their parents the only way to find peace? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We learn so much from hearing different perspectives. And please, if these stories touch you, subscribe to Life Stories 1 and click the notification bell so you don't miss the next one. Thank you so much for watching and being part of this community.